Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. Welcome to Massive Iron Live. It's Friday, March 24th. How's everybody doing? Friday, March 24th, another live. I think this is like 800 weeks in a row, right? We're going to become like I've been doing this for so long. I can't even believe I've been doing live for this long. I'm also testing a stream over on Instagram so you guys have a different view. And we'll just see how that works. If I annoy anybody or anybody actually enjoys it. But before we get started, those of you guys that watching on Instagram, head over to Massive Iron YouTube, Massive Iron YouTube. For those sexy people watching on YouTube, appreciate you joining me. I'm here every Friday. If you post up a question, I'll answer every question. I'll stay on as long as you have questions. If not, I'll jump off in shame and run and hide in a corner. I'm here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. If your questions do not go through, if your questions don't go through, try reposting them again, try shortening them, or head over to Instagram, @BenTheBarman, slide into my DM and post your question. I'll get to everything eventually. So how's everybody doing? Happy Friday. It's rainy here. Yesterday it almost got to 70 in Ohio, and today it's just nasty, freezing. Big news. I got an offer in on my property, so I'm going to be moving into a new home within a couple months, and the new home is going to have a filming gym and a studio. So nothing expensive, nothing super fancy, but I'm going to have a better place to do my videos, and I'm going to have a better place to film. So that's it. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently today. Normally, I've been doing the same thing for quite a while, and that is anybody that posts a question before live starts gets a chance to win a free T-shirt, hoodie, or Massive Iron Way. The way I'm going to rock things right now is a little bit different. I'm going to test things a little bit differently this week. What I'm going to do is, if I like any questions at all during the day, I'm going to mention it during live. And you guys will get a chance to win a free shirt, hoodie, Massive Iron T-shirt, Massive Iron hoodie, or Massive Iron Way, or Massive Iron Creatine. Almost empty, Massive Iron Creatine. So some big news before we start. I want you guys to remember this. The Massive Fitness, for those of you guys watching on YouTube, Massive Fitness equipment. My equipment is in. It is in stock. We're shipping. If you need a new rack, we got 3 different types of racks. If you need a bar, you need a bench, adjustable bench, whatever you need, please check out my equipment at themassivefitness.com. I have limited stocks, and to be honest with you, this is a new venture for me. If it goes well, I will restock. If it doesn't go well, I'll just use the equipment for my home gym, and that'll be that. So before I get into things, one more quick commercial. You can head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, if you want coaching. I do have a couple coaching slots available. Now, repeat, I am streaming this on Instagram for a while until my battery dies. But for those of you on Instagram, you can check out the questions on YouTube, Massive Iron Live, if you want to post a question. And so that's where the questions are coming from, if you're wondering and you're on Instagram. All right, let's dive into things. Happy Friday. Stein is early in. Happy Friday, Stein. Thanks for joining in. Stein is first from Team Massive, and Assassin is second. Sending love from your favorite Assassin. Thank you, Assassin. Hope you have a good weekend. And Timothy, Team Massive, representing. Timothy's in third. If you guys are wondering what Team Massive is, you can go to teammassiveiron.com. We have a private gated community. Sounds fancy, but if you're sick and tired of social media, sick and tired of Facebook, you're sick and tired of all the drama, we have a really good community over at Team Massive, and it's growing every week. and we have form. You can kind of get like micro coaching. You get form checks and ask me questions directly, and we have daily check-ins and just general conversations. It's a really good group of people, and we keep it troll and drama free. So if you're curious, go over to teammassiveiron.com. If you're a client of mine, that is free for clients. So if you're not on, just let me know that you would like access, and I'll get you hooked up. All right, Timothy said, I'm finally done with my tests this week. Hope things went well, Tim. And Big Eric, the beard of redness from Team Massive Iron. If you were going to throw in an extra bro day at the end of the week with upper posterior, what would it look like? What I typically do with clients or when building a custom workout is throw in a junk day on Saturday. So if you're doing like an upper posterior, you'll have 4 workouts. Let's just use upper posterior as an example. You'll have 4 workouts, A, B, C, and D. You rotate between those workouts during the week. And then on Saturday, you'll have kind of a junk day. So on the junk day is kind of a way to fit in anything you couldn't fit in during the week. So you can have in maybe extra arm work if you want, maybe rear delts, maybe abs, calves, that sort of stuff. A junk day is generally a little bit lighter because we're not going to have compound movements or really intense compound movements. So usually I like to keep the junk day as optional, but kind of flagpoled on a Saturday, and then you just do the regular stuff you're doing during the week. All right, Timothy. Is 1 to 2 kilos of weight gain during stressful life periods normal? 1 to 2 kilos of weight gain is negligible, and you can have that on any given day. That can just be from water inflammation. Small amounts of weight gain can be from workout-driven inflammation. You can have temporary workout-driven inflammation. Like when I would run a marathon or 50K or even a long 3 or 4 hour run, I would usually come in heavier the next day, and that's not from food. That would be from inflammation. You can have some variance as far as weight from differences in sodium, carb intake, waste. Sometimes when we're stressful, we tend to hold a little bit of water, hold a little bit of waste. So yeah, it can absolutely be normal. So nothing to worry about. We always want to, when we're looking at weight, we always want to look at the long-term curve, the direction of the trends, of the curve, of the path, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So all right, Adam Limbach. Hey, big hairy ugly dude, just received some whey protein from you this week. Great taste and great value. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. For those of you curious, over on my website, superlivingtoday.com, I have a whey protein and I have a creatine. I'm not trying to be a supplement company, but if you guys want to put $5 in my pocket and support a private creator, private content creator, I have whey and creatine at my website. The whey tastes great. It's lower calorie, 110 per scoops. You're still getting quality amount of protein. And I would not put it out if it tastes like crap. So it tastes good. And if you're curious, again, you want to support a private content creator, you can head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. I'm not going to make fat stacks. We're not trying to make Heisenberg cash off selling creatine and whey. It's just a couple extra bucks. And usually that sort of money supports teammassiveiron.com. That website alone costs me about $150 a month to maintain. So basically anybody that's a member there is basically putting money in the till to keep the team rolling. Coach Ben from Instagram says, not sure if I can ask a question here. You can, but Massive Iron or YouTube is easier. Not sure if I can ask a question here. In your experience coaching with a solid 5+ years of training, do you think all men can achieve 17-inch arms? So from Instagram, Ben is asking if I believe all men can achieve 17-inch arms if they train hard. I don't know. I think everybody can get close. When I am lean, despite the pictures you see of me pumped on the internet, when I post a picture, I am probably I'm barely like, I don't know, 17.5. If I'm going to be lean like 18% or under, my arms are going to have a hard time being 17 inches. So I have really nasty bicep genetics. I'm not going to lie about that. They look like a big ugly potato, right? So a little bit flat. They don't have that nice ball shape that can add to size. So you can at least get solidly into the 16s. Let's leave it at that. And that's pretty impressive. All right. From YouTube, Big Adam. Curious your thoughts on seated versus standing barbell overhead press. Goal is simply to get stronger. Now, one of the things with, I have no issues with the standing overhead press, but if you want to do it, do it. Most of my clients do that variation. The seated is kind of a foreign variation for a lot of people. They're not used to it. They're used to seeing the military press push in this generation, but I have to tell you that the seated press has a lot of benefits. Number one, you have a greater degree of stability. Number two, there's a little bit less lower back stress. And number three, you tend to be stronger on a seated press than a standing press, maybe by up to 10%. So if you're looking for pure hypertrophy and pure strength and something that might back your bench press power over time, don't rule out having a seated overhead press variation. Now, you don't have to do that exclusively. Being intelligent individuals like we are, we understand that if you like both or you want to play around with one, you could do one week and one the next. There's nothing wrong with that. Over the course of my lifting career, 99% of my overhead presses have been seated. I just don't, for over 25 years, I just didn't know what a military press was. It wasn't talked about a lot in bodybuilding circles, just like the deadlift wasn't. So I didn't do that. I did a lot of BTN presses, seated BTNs, and just regular seated presses. And to this day, I've messed around with standing overheads. I just don't like them. I like the feel of a seated press 100%. All right, Timothy. Thoughts on using a Smith machine instead for my JM presses? I think the fixed track might help. For those of you guys unfamiliar, like a JM press, you start out here and you kind of fold down towards your Adam's apple a little bit, right? Or towards your neck. So it's kind of a different variation on a skull crusher where you're going a little bit lower here and then you're pushing up, right? So a JM press is kind of a variation that's going to hit your tricepticons a little bit. The question is, can I do them on a Smith? You can, as long as they're not aggravating your elbow. One of the issues with a Smith is that you're on a fixed track. So when you press up, normally if you're doing a JM press, you're right about neck area. And when you press up, your fists, your palms are going to be over your elbows, which is going to take it from here more here, right? It's going to take it from here more to here. But if that extension is not bothering your elbows, go ahead and give it a try. I mean, it's really going to come down to what you feel is efficient and what's going to serve your tricep work effectively. So don't be afraid to mess around with either of those. Timothy said, trying to get consistent with trying to get my forearms as parallel to the floor as I can. Don't worry about arbitrary things like getting your forearms parallel to the floor. Don't worry about little arbitrary. I mean, if it helps you focus on where to bring the bar, great. But when you are in the pit on a JM press, just kind of take it to that natural position. Whether you're an inch or two varied or where your forearms are, it doesn't really matter. When you're doing an exercise, you want to focus on how does it feel naturally, right? That's going to serve us best in most cases as a starting point. How does it feel naturally where I'm bringing the bar to? So when we add in sometimes arbitrary, goals or tack on arbitrary, things to our lifts. Sometimes they can do more damage than good. All right. Hey, Steve, the late John Meadows, Dave Tate, Elite FTS, Westside Barbell, and yourself, I believe, are all located in Ohio. Is this a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. The Arnold Sports Festival's in Ohio. Westside's in Ohio. Dave Tate's in Ohio. I believe Meadows was in Ohio. We also have Laura Phelps Sweat, the strongest woman in the world, who's in this area. We are arguably one of the biggest strength and muscle building states in the country. I'd call Ohio a mecca. And it's just really strange. You have so many amazing things in this state. West Side and Elite FTS and Laura Phelps Sweat, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's no coincidence. we all been paid by the state of Ohio to move here, right? And I'm glad I'm lumped into that pool. Brandon, hey Steve, what's your opinion on incorporating calisthenics, specifically ring push-ups, into a full body weight routine? You can incorporate calisthenics, number one, just for overall conditioning, body weight conditioning, for fun. I mean, you can have fun exercises in the mix. If you want to use them specifically for muscle growth, it's best to use them wisely. So for a lot of my clients, we do things like dips and push-ups supersets. You can also do like pec and push-ups supersets, or dumbbell flies, or even barrel. I'm getting more and more into the barrel press and push-up supersets. So we're kind of evolving a little bit how I coach and kind of pulling that lift into the mix. I'm always a little bit hesitant in pulling new mixes into coaching, or new lifts into the mix of coaching, until I have a really good grasp of, what's going on with that lift. But the good thing about doing that push-up in that way is you're already pre-torching your chest, and then you can do a push-up and then kind of do it for max safe reps, and there's not as much urgency. So it's kind of like icing on the cake. A lot of my clients do 2 supersets where they're doing dips or barrel press or dumbbell flies or whatever, and then they're supersetting with push-ups for max safe reps. Now on the push-ups, I recommend trying to get really good control, right? Not rushing them, not just doing the rabbit trick and trying to hammer out reps, trying to have a good press and then control your body down, etc. Nice controlled, not beating the shoulders up, if that makes sense. Before we move on, I want to remind guys, I'm streaming this as a test run on Instagram as well. I've been the barman. And for those of you watching on Instagram, this is a Massive Iron Live is streamed every week at 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. So if you want to post, if you want to head over to, you want a question posted, head over to Massive Iron YouTube and post your questions. Timothy, any opinion on ordering cable pushdowns extensions before ordering? Okay, he means as not ordering a I read that as ordering a product off the internet, but exercise order, doing cable pushdowns before compound tricep movements. No, not really. On arm work, I really don't care. As long as you are going to adjust accordingly. Like, you could do cable tricep extensions or jam press or whatever before close grip bench. That's fine. You're getting a little bit pre-fatigue on your triceps, and you just have to adjust like your close grip bench accordingly. So that's okay. So he said Alpha Destiny is pretty strong on this. That's fine, but also no, there's no magic way. He likes it. That doesn't mean you have to do it. I do the opposite. I like the big hitters first. Doesn't really matter as long as you're progressing. So don't get caught up in Alpha does it this way, Massive Iron does it this way. You can play around with it and see which one you like more. All right, Steve K. Forced to take a week off due to illness, starting mini cut and switching to upper posterior after 4 months of bro split. 10-pound bulk. Best to finish cut with bro split. When you're on a cut, you don't want to change programs, okay? It's not the best time to change programs. You want to save a new stimulus generally, and this is not a rule, it's just general common sense advice. You want to start a new stimulus when you start a bulk. So you're going to hop on a new program. It's going to feel different. You're going to get more out of it. You have more calories come in. Save programming changes for when you move to a bulk if you can. All right, Michael Nielsen was doing upper lower split, but workout was taking too long, so moved arms, abs, and rear delts to separate days. That's fine. You can do what's called a junk day. You can add them on a separate day, or you can just have a fourth day of training where you do that sort of thing. Let me get a drink here. I got the heater blowing right above my head, and it's super dry in here. We got a question on the Instagram. Let me see if I'll try not to miss it. From Ahmed. Steve, what's one supposed to do if he has popping shoulders? Can one build a good chest? Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about that stuff. A pop could be a little bit of inflammation. I'm no doctor, and I'm not going to try to be one of these influencers. I don't like using that word. I'm not going to try to be one of these guys that tries to solve your medical problems. But if there's no pain, you're usually okay. A little bit of popping. I've had popping in my knees for years. Some of that can be inflammation driven. Like if you get inflammation, it can kind of put pressure and move things around a little bit. It could be from a tendon. It could be from one of your joints. Nothing to worry about. Obviously you want to consult with your doctor, because I am not a doctor and I'm not going to pretend to have any idea what the cause is. But I will say, in life, in lifting, you're going to pick up a lot of aches and pains and strains. And as long as it's not causing pain, you are fairly safe to advance. If it's causing any pain or discomfort at all, you probably want to get that checked out. And if you're worried at all, just talk to your physician. Is Pazov, sorry, so this will be running parallel to your YouTube stream. Yep. I'm just running this on Instagram as a test, but I am running, the main will always be YouTube. I'm running all the questions off YouTube. So you are correct. Not doing anything different, just putting this on Instagram, double dipping a little bit. I feel like I get sick really often lately since I switched from 3-day full body to 4-day upper lower. Should I go back to full body? Some of it could be like when you change training and it feels more intense. You can temporarily weaken your immune system. If it's a recurring thing, that might be a coincidence. Usually what I've seen is when, like if I've been off of training for a while and I jump back on to training, it can sometimes weaken my immune system and I can get sick. Excuse me. We have a little bit of Monster Energy gas. Yeah, sometimes I can get sick when I reintroduce something intense to the mix. But if you're getting sick often, I don't know, maybe it's an immune system issue. Maybe you need to look at your diet. Maybe you need to look at your sleep. Something's going on that's weakening your immune system. I don't know that is training specifically or training in concert with other things, but definitely something's going on. I don't know that it's a split issue, but you certainly can play around with it. All right, Mike, if you missed a workout during the week on a bro split, can you do 2 body parts in one day? You could kind of condense them. He said morning or night. I personally would kind of condense them. Maybe drop a set from the compounds, maybe drop to 2 sets for the isos or less intense exercises. Or would it be better just to push the second workout to another day? What I would do is, if you're running a body part split, I just go to the next workout. And as long as you're not more than 10 days away from your previous workout, you can use the same weight. But I would just stay in that rotation, because it's just like a blip on the radar screen. It's nothing, nothing extreme. And doing 2 workouts in a day or condensing them, I don't like that. I like to do my original workout, program. So That's what I would do. Zoldyck says, or the reason is something else. He's talking about the cold or getting sick. Impossible for me to say. I will say this real quick before we jump into the next question. I have been noticing lately that I'm seeing certain influencers try to be food psychologists, right? And or injury prevention or injury treatment specialists, right? And you got to be really leery about this. Any meathead, any lifter that tries to cross over and get into uh, nutrition psychology or the psychology of eating disorders, specifically binge eating or anything along those lines, it's okay to give general advice and general strategies, but when they try to deep dive into treatment of binge eating, they're way out of their league, right? Way out of their league. And this is, everything anybody that does that or starts to talk about injury treatment and we're just meatheads, you really need to do your research because that person needs to shut up. They really need to shut up. Like if I'm working with somebody that's obese, I'm going to give them a plan and I'm going to find accountability. And we're going to talk about food choices and we're going to talk about food swaps and we're going to talk about lifestyle change. We're going to talk about things that we know are successful. But if somebody has an eating disorder or a food addiction or they have binge eating, our job isn't to lay out theoretical ways to overcome binging. That person needs help, right? And I'm seeing blanket statements flying around like when this person should eat, how this person should eat. When you're working with somebody that is a binge eater as a client, you have to stay in your lane as a coach. You need to provide accountability. You need to provide solutions to help them kind of transition. But if they're really bad off, like telling them when to eat or how to eat or, trying to make these wholesale proclamations on how to fix binge eating, people like that are way out of their lane. Let's see. Fahim, during my college years, I used to get a good pump in my chest during bench. Now at age 59, almost no feel in my chest. Could it be the narrower grip? It could be. I still get a good chest pump, but during a workout. But it's not like I really notice it. It's just that I can see it in the mirror. So that can occur as well. Like I get a delt pump and a chest pump. I don't necessarily feel pain or feel the pump, but I can see it when I look in the mirror and look at photos. Strong Beyond 55 from Instagram says, I've been buying farm fresh ground turkey. It's amazing for obvious protein, but adding it to things is great. What is your preferred meat protein source? My preferred source of food, nearly all meat I eat is from Force of Nature meats. And I like wild boar because it's super low calorie. I like venison because it's super low calorie. I like bison from them because it's super low calorie. So I tend to stay with wild boar, venison, and bison generally. The grounds. I like using the grounds, super simple. And I usually alternate between those three. I also do eggs and some egg whites when I'm on a cut. So Rico from Team Massive. How's it going? Zach from Team Massive. And Scotty Mac, good morning. Big fella, thanks for inspiring me to set another personal best. Today was 50 kilogram curls. By the way, what's really good for triceps when you max out the dips machine? JM press we talked about earlier is a good option where it's kind of not like a skull crusher. Skull crusher, we tend to bring the bar to our head. A JM press, you start out here and you lower the bar more towards your neck area. You can do a PJR pullover, which is kind of a pullover, extension, rotation. And you can do overhead cable tricep extensions. As a finisher lately, I've really been liking dumbbell kickbacks as a finisher. So, John Paul, why do people say that novices should only deadlift 1 for 5? Whenever I'm going to say, John Paul, whenever we say people, it's usually a couple voices. So I'm going to insert a couple voices in your question. Why do a couple voices say that novices should only deadlift 1 to 5 for linear progression? Linear progression is stupid, okay? Not linear periodization. Let's not get wires crossed. Linear progression is an idiotic idea, especially on a lift like a deadlift or squat for novices, because a novice's priority is getting form down and adding weight intuitively. And any coach that does linear progression on a novice just assigns that without, as a blanket approach, is a little bit off base in my opinion, my strong opinion, because in the coaching world, I can tell you the Romanian deadlift, the deadlift, and the squat need time to get form up to speed. And only when your form is up to speed should you slowly add weight, not only because of form, but because your lower back's going to take a beating. So voices out there, I will tell you, and this is a very strong opinion of mine, voices out there that are pushing this blanket stuff, linear progression. I'm not a big fan of it. I think they're way off base. I think they're way out of line. So yes, you should start on the lower end of volume on a deadlift until you really get your form down. But after that, you don't want to do linear progression. You want to be a little bit more intuitive. Now, I had a question on Instagram. Why is it so hard to make Asian clients grow their glutes? I don't know about that. I train everybody the same. I've only noticed pancake ass equally on everybody. So I don't know what your personal experience is. I don't know what exercises you're using. That would have to be a deep dive, my friend. Barry Wong. Hey, Steve, what's your thoughts on fish oil? Well, I don't see any downsides, right? Do I personally take fish oil? Nah. I don't like big tablets, right? I don't like those types of things. So if you do take fish oil, I mean, the voices out there are like, it's useless, whatever. It's just fish oil, right? Is it going to kill you? It's not as bad as your crappy diet. Let's put it that way, right? So I'm saying that facetiously. So if you want to take it, there's a lot of research that hints at a lot of positive benefits. I don't see any reason not to take it if you're interested. It's cheap. It's not costly. There's the downsides versus upsides. There's very little downsides. Big Bob Ship, what's up, coach? What's up, Iron Clan? Thanks for tuning in, Bob. Bob's a client of mine. Mark, hey, can I run a 3-week wave on deadlifts? 70% 3x5, 80% 2x4, 90% 1x3x5. No, because 90% is not a 5 rep. I don't like training the deadlift above 87.5. So no, I don't think that's a good idea at all. The 70% 3x5, that's a little light. So Mark is talking about a wave of 3 weeks. Week 1 is 70% by 3x5. That's super light, Mark. I mean, that's almost like a deload. Let me check the 1 rep max calculator here for reference for you guys. So for reference, if your deadlift is 300, let's say your max is about 300, 70% would be, you'd be able to do 12 reps with like 70% of your 1 rep max. So Mark is asking about a 3-week wave, and 70% is about 12 reps of your 1 rep max. And if you're doing a 3x5, that's like a deload, Mark. That's kind of a wash, wasted week. 80% 2x4. 80% is about 8 rep max. So even the 80% is a little bit light. Not a big fan. And then you're jumping up to 90% for 3x5. 90% is your 4 rep max. So basically you're jumping from 2 mediocre weeks to one that's all out balls deep max reps at 90%. This is an awful program, Mark. Awful, awful, awful. Bob, supplements would be a cool idea to watch. Hint, hint, Steve. Supplements would be a cool video to watch. Yeah, the problem, Bob, is like when I make a video about nutrition or supplements, nobody watches it, right? So that's more stuff I like to keep in Team Massive. Shelly Turner, any suggestions for a birthday workout? I'm turning 66 in a couple months and looking for ideas. What I did for my 50th birthday is, or 53rd birthday is, what was it? 53rd, 52nd, 52 hours. I ran for 52 hours. Well, I slept a little bit, but I tried to see how far I could go in 52 hours. I would maybe do some kind of 66-hour challenge where you're trying to see how, maybe walk a mile every hour or do something every hour for 66 hours, something like that, just for fun, something super intense and memorable, right? Sandro, I've lost 8 kilos in 2 months. Okay. Alexa, how many pounds is 8 kilos? What is it, like 18.6? Alexa's having a fit. Alexa, how many pounds is 8 kilos?
8 kilograms is about 17 pounds, 10 ounces.
Okay, I was off. So that's a pretty good rate in 2 months. A little over 2 pounds a week. Thanks to you, big, hairy, ugly dude. How much should I increase calories for a bulk? Well, when you are jumping back into a bulk, what I suggest is finding where you thought your maintenance level would be. Run that for 5 days. Don't go over. And weigh yourself every single day. And let's get a baseline of where you think your maintenance level is going to be for 5 days. And then we can kind of make adjustments from there, if that makes sense. And Sandra says, where lies the line when getting strains, aches, tweaks, part of the process, getting stronger, and when it's a recovery problem? Sleep, not enough food. There's no real line. The line is fluid, unfortunately. And we learn the line over time by making adjustments. If you're struggling with recovery, if you're struggling with tweaks, is it exercise driven? Do I find it after certain training days? Is it too much cumulative volume? Am I overworking any movement patterns? For me, for example, squats used to tweak. I used to pick up a lot of tweaks in my hamstrings and adductors and abductors and lower glutes and all kinds of things. So that was more exercise driven, but it was more driven by heavy squats. So at that point, you have to kind of do self-assessment. You really have to monitor things. What I would do is monitor things in your logbook. What is causing issues, or what is the issue? And then how tough is the issue on a scale of like 1 to 5? And then you can kind of collect data and see if there's any consistency with when you're picking up strains, pains, aches, that sort of thing. All right, from the Instagram, if I hit a PR on a compound exercise in a day, but can't hit my previous day's volume in another exercise targeting the same. Yeah, absolutely. That's just part of lifting. Sometimes you can hit a big PR on a lift, and then the next exercise, you're a little bit glycogen depleted, or even a little bit, your adrenaline crashes a little bit, or, whatever's going on in your body, and you fall flat on the next exercise. You can't predict, because the demands of every exercise are different, how every exercise is going to go. There are people that'll go in and just fall flat on the first exercise and crush the second exercise. That's normal. That's okay. This is a long game, and don't panic with little micro nuances during a workout. If you're training hard, eating right, everything's going to take care of itself over the long run. All right, let me get a drink. All right, we're about 40 minutes in, guys. Keep posting up your questions. I'll stay on as long as you have questions. And again, for those watching on Instagram, this is on Massive Iron YouTube. Before I go any further, if you want coaching, head over to superlivingtoday.com, click the coaching tab. If you want to join Team Massive, you can head over to teammassiveiron.com and join. And if you want arguably the best fitness equipment in the United States, you can check out The Massive Fitness. I'm not blowing smoke up your buttholes. We put in a lot of effort to make this top quality equipment to survive a war. It looks good. It's sound. It has features the others do not. The other brands do not. And it's incredible value. And you can get it at themassivefitness.com. All right. Let's keep rolling. Sandro, I'm going to give you a hoodie, a t-shirt, or a way for all the good questions. So head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, slide into my DM, Sandro, and tell me what you would like. I'll hook that up. Sandro says, should you be worried about your BMI going above a certain point? Don't worry about BMI. Worry about, number one, the mirror. What do you see in the mirror? And number two, as a male, we probably want to keep our weight over 240, and this goes for tall guys as well. Generally, 220 to 230 should kind of be the max, that we mess with as far as longevity and health. And this isn't a rule, right? This is a general guideline. So don't worry about BMI. Worrying about staying in a healthy range and what you see in the mirror. All right, from the Instagram. Bilal, 1 month mini cut aiming to lose 10 to 15 pounds. Is that reasonable? Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm losing about 12 to 15 a month. It's not too anything. It's not too aggressive. There's no such thing. Even worst case scenario, you lose 2 ounces of muscle. Who cares? It's going to come back. It's very unlikely you're going to lose any real muscle, even during an aggressive cut. And it's not like it's gone forever, like, oh no, I've just lost. It just chipped away at my natural potential. The whole concept is absurd. But it's just something the industry keeps tossing around, like a circle jerk of idiots. Thanks, James. I appreciate that. The community, the lifting community keeps tossing around this paranoia like a circle jerk of idiots. Like if you lose a couple ounces or even a pound on an aggressive cut, like somehow it's gone forever. Muscle memory is a real thing. If you do lose any small amount, and that's what it would be, as a trivial amount, even during an aggressive cut, it'll come right back. It'll come right back. We know this from experience. We know this from watching bodybuilders. There have been bodybuilders that I've interviewed that have competed over 70 times. Over 70 times. And they bulk, they cut, they bulk, they cut, they bulk. They're not getting smaller. It's not like every time you cut, you're losing your natural potential and you're screwed. All right, Sandra said, thank you for everything. You are the best. Thank you, sir. All right. Happy Friday, Team Massive and Big Hairy Ugly Dude. Thank you. Big Paul from Team Massive. Good morning, Team Massive. May the gains ever be in your favor. Thanks, Paul. You have a good weekend. All right. Raygun Man, 390 pounds down to 285. Well done. That's over 100. That you should be super proud of what you've accomplished. But feel worse mentally, okay? Just want to be accepted by people. Well, this is a deep dive, man. This is a deep dive. I know I can accept myself because if I did, that I'd still be 400 pounds. I don't know. Thoughts? I don't know. I think I don't want to dive too deep into this. Number one, I'd say come on over and join Team Massive. Get some support. Surround yourself by people that want your company. Because there are people that want your company. You just have to find the right people. And that's why I have Team Massive, because we are the right people. We're going to give you support. We're going to give you, we are a team. We are friends. We are compadres. We are an army, right? We're a good group of guys. So outside of that, wanting to be accepted by people, that's a whole deep conversation. It's a whole deep conversation. We all, it's easy to see stuff on the internet, these little social media quips like, don't seek acceptance of other people. People post all this shit, and it's horse crap, right? We all need to be accepted a little bit. It's just a way, it's just the way life is. So I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like I'm some psychologist. I'm not. But the only thing I can say is take a step forward and try to surround yourself with positive people that want your company. All right, I got a couple from Instagram. None. 123-21285-374. What is the rate of weekly loss for people who are 50 pounds overweight? You probably want to lose at least 2 pounds a week. If not, it's going to be a little bit slow, and it'll start to get a little bit tedious. Anything slower than that, and you're in for a really long cut, and you risk increasing the likelihood of diet fatigue, in my opinion. Brandy Pullis. I went from 180 to 115 too quickly, and now I want to feel good about myself, but I still feel like I'm huge. Well, Brandy, you need, 115 is not huge, first and foremost. It's not huge by any means. So you are absolutely fine as far as weight. You just have to the only thing I can say is continue to take care of yourself. Focus on practicing healthy habits, getting enough protein, getting in enough calories, maintaining your weight, doing resistance training, improving your physique. Focus on taking care of yourself, and understand that our brain feeds us a lot of lies. We're not good enough. We're not thin enough. We're not muscular. We're not as muscular as we should be. We're not fit enough. Our brain will lie to us, and we can't accept, like, some of this might be true for, obviously some of the things that we process are true, right? And sometimes that's a good thing. We can use them as motivators. Like, maybe I could have been a better person this week. So use that as a positive thing to take positive steps. It is when we have these voices or this self-criticism and we react with unhealthy behaviors, right? DKN sent a request to be in your live video. Sorry, I love you, but not a chance, my friend. We have to react to self-criticism with positive steps, okay? Regardless of what's going on, right? We have to respond by doing the right thing, right? By brushing our tooth, right? By brushing our tooth. We have to respond by resistance training. We have to respond by moving. We have to respond by taking care of our sleep and taking care of our food choices, right? So whatever voice is in your head, I don't know you out there right now, any of you, but the voice in your head is saying you're not good enough. You're too fat. You're not strong enough. You look like crap. No one will love you, right? Your single tooth that you have left doesn't look good. Whatever the voices are in your head, you got two paths to respond to those. You can respond by doing the right thing and trying to, okay, the voices may be right to a degree. They may be completely right. Maybe I am a jerk, right? Or, the voices might be wrong, but either way, we have to respond. Thanks, Big Tim. Either way, we have to respond back with positivity by taking care of ourselves, right? We never react. We should always self-monitor so we're not reacting to voices with negative responses, with forms of self-hurt. self-abuse, sleep deprivation, food abuse, alcohol abuse, seeking, drugs or any other thing like that. We have to respond to all the negative voices in our heads by doing something positive for ourselves. Because when you take care of yourself, whether it's with the way you dress or your exercise habits or brushing your tooth, your last tooth, right? Whatever you do, when you put positivity out, when you take care of yourself, when you put your best self forward, it does make a difference. Okay. All right. Type. Oh, negative. What's the official house band of Team Massive? I don't know, man. It says Big Hairy Ugly Dude, you're killing it on your cut. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm really, really gunning it. So what's the official house band of Team Massive? You guys can vote. What would be the house band of Team Massive Iron? What would be the house band? I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a tough question. Mick Awesome Sauce. These are fantastic. Thank you for tuning in. Thomas Mitchell. Morning Team Massive. Thank you, Thomas. Thomas Mitchell was actually the Team Massive Member of the Year in 2022. So Thomas has lost over 100 pounds. He's a rock star, and he was Member of the Year on Team Massive. Big Josh Megaroids. How's it going, Josh? Saw you doing all that kind of landscaping, pavers, stonework. You can come do mine, man. I'm over that stuff. I'm long past wanting to do that stuff. So much credit, Josh. Yvonne, good morning, team. And David Harrison, good morning. And DKN asks, will I be doing a video with anybody else together? Probably not for a while. I am, just a heads up, guys, I am recording a podcast tomorrow at noon with Pete Rubish. So I don't do a lot of podcasts, but when I do them, I'm trying to find some good quality people. I will have Pete Rubish on the podcast tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. Pete and I met, I believe, for the first time at a UPA powerlifting meet maybe 10 years ago. He's from Wisconsin. I'm from Wisconsin. Thank you, Terrence. He's from Wisconsin. I'm from Wisconsin. And one way or the other, we've known each other for a while. We're not friends. We're acquaintances. But looking forward to talking with Pete tomorrow and seeing where he's at. It's come a long way since I've seen him last. Big David Harrison, is a 4-day-a-week push-pull legs that much worse than a 4-day-a-week upper posterior? So if we look straight at the numbers from a frequency standpoint, number one, 4 days a week is a good sweet spot, regardless of your program, because 4 days a week allows you to get in a reasonable amount of volume. Okay. 4 days a week is kind of the perfect sweet spot for hypertrophy. It's when all the stars can align, when you have enough room for volume from head to toe on everything. So 4 days a week, in a perfect world, if you want to maximize hypertrophy and strength, I think 4 days a week is the golden child. Okay. 3.5, a little bit less. That's okay. You can still get a ton of quality work in. So don't panic and switch programs immediately. So whatever program you're on, bro split, push-pull legs, upper posterior, you're going to end up getting the same amount of weekly volume in because it's 4 days, right? Does that make sense? So however you slice it and dice it, push-pull legs, upper posterior, as long as it's reasonably structured, you're going to get in the same weekly volume over the course of a month per body part. So when you ask, is a push-pull legs 4 days a week worse than 4 days a week upper posterior? No. It's going to be the same volume because we're going to be training about the same length each day with the same number of sets. And let's say it's 18 sets per day, 4 days a week on any workout. You're going to have 72 sets a week, 288 or 290 a month, give or take. And you're going to be good to go. A question from the Instagram from Daniel._GOV. How would you split 6 days with focus on bodybuilding? I have a 6-day split that I posted up on Instagram. that I'm doing, and you guys can check that out. Let me see if I can pull it up right now. There are many ways to do it. And there's no right or wrong. I'm going to try to scroll back on my Instagram and see if I can find my current program, because I'm training 6 days a week. I'm doing less volume per day, so it just allows for a little bit shorter of a workout. So I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to see if I can present screen share. And where are you? Can you guys see that? You guys can see this on YouTube, but it is chest one day, back the next, quads the next, delts the next, deads, hams, and traps the next, then arms. So chest, back, quads, delts, deads, hams, and traps, and then arms. That's how I have my setup. Parsa, good morning, big hairy ugly dude. Thanks for tuning in. McAwesome Sauce, my favorite recomp enthusiast. Yeah. Just kidding. We love you, buddy. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the recomp. Cut is going great. Going to reveal the shreds. I'm going to reveal it. Yeah. Once I get down to 40 pounds down on my cut, I'm about halfway there, I'm going to completely stop looking at the scale. I want to do this a little bit differently. I don't want to have an end goal in mind as far as weight. So I'm getting down 40 pounds, and then the scale's taking a hiatus. And I am going to use the mirror alone and just see, once I get to where I want to be, then I'll pop on the scale again. And once I get down there, I'm going to start doing some more training videos. I want to be in good shape. I want to make some good training videos for you guys. So that's the goal. Tommy, morning, coach. Morning, Tommy. Thanks for tuning in. Barbell_Bryce. Thoughts on antagonistic? Hate them. Hate antagonistic supersets. Hate them. I think they are one of those. I'm not a fan. Antagonistic supersets are two different body parts supersetted together. Antagonistic, like back and chest, biceps and triceps. I don't like antagonistic supersets. If you like them, fine. I do not like them. I like supersetting the same body part. When you do antagonistic, let's say you do bench and Pendley rows. Pendley rows beat the living crap out of me. They're fatiguing, right? So I don't want cardiovascular or general fatigue to impede my progress. Yes, you are training hard on an antagonistic superset, but is it the most efficient type of hard training? CrossFit is hard. Is that the most efficient type of hard training for hypertrophy? No, it is not the most efficient form of hard training. That doesn't mean it's ineffective 100%. So let's establish that. But I'm not a fan of antagonistic supersets at all. All right, from Instagram, Jason Bass, what's your thoughts on full body workouts? I'm going to be working long hours. Yeah, absolutely. I have plenty of full body workouts in the mix. I have nothing against them. Do whatever works for you. DevDog712. Good morning, legend. Thank you, sir. Can you wish my boy Chris a happy and healthy 28th birthday? You're the best. Sure, Chris. Happy 28th birthday. I got to tell you, you're not the prettiest thing I've ever seen, Chris, and you're not the most athletic. The good thing you have going for you, Chris, is that you're still alive, right? That's probably the most positive thing I know about you, Chris, is that you're still in the game. You're still in the game. And you know what? You made it to 28. Hopefully, because of how ugly you are, Chris, you can find a partner that'll tolerate you. Because of your personality, Chris, which is in shambles, I hope you can find somebody that'll tolerate you. But in all seriousness, Chris, have a happy birthday from the big, hairy, ugly dude. Mervin, what's the ideal ratio for potassium and sodium? Ideal is kind of hard to achieve when we are just kind of eating normally. So I try to live in more of the world of, reasonable. So what I mean is we want to get in our potassium foods. On paper, scientifically, the ideal ratio of sodium to potassium is 1 to 3, but you want to be making sure you're getting enough potassium. The sodium potassium balance is important for blood sugar. So it says here a high sodium potassium ratio was a strong indicator of increased risk among the participants of the study than levels of either sodium or potassium alone. I think this is for blood pressure. So basically, what I was saying for blood pressure is high sodium, not important. High potassium, not important. Having a reasonable balance, a good thing. So you want to eat your foods with potassium, right? You want to eat your foods with potassium, and you can just search that on the internet. It's not hard to find. Taters and tomatoes and things like that. And then you want to make sure you're getting in sodium, not avoiding it, especially for an athlete, and you should be fine. What do we got here? From Instagram. LOL, what about just alternating the sets? You rest. If you want to alternate chest and back, that's fine. Just don't superset it. We want to attack, like, hard work in the right context is supersetting the same body part. That's hard work for that body part or area. But when we are supersetting antagonistic body parts, we're just attacking one body part a little bit more physically fatigued. Not a big fan of that. If you want to alternate and get super complex and use every barbell in the gym, yeah, go ahead. I'm just being facetious, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. The voice one. What's the most you've lifted on incline? Bench angle, you want to go slight, like about 20 degrees. Nothing extreme. I really stopped using the incline when I got to about 315. I don't like unracking on an incline. So I'm not saying you guys shouldn't use the incline. I used it for a long time, over 20 years. I just got tired of it. After 20 years of training. So I just went straight flat bench. And if you're going to incline, try to use something about 20 degrees, really, really slight incline. And, just getting dumbbells into place for dumbbell inclines a pain in the ass when you're super strong. So I think I got like 275 by 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know. This was back around, I think 2007, about 20 years into lifting. I stopped using it completely. Just Nick said, what books are you reading right now? Oh, hold on. This is what I'm reading right now. The Light Pirate by Lily Brooks Dalton. And let's see, what did she write? What did Lily Brooks Dalton write? Lily Brooks Dalton, she wrote Good Morning Midnight. Good Morning Midnight. Lily Brooks Dalton wrote Good Morning Midnight as well. And this was a movie on The Midnight Sky on Netflix. Love the movie. A good writer, in my opinion. So I'm reading her latest book. Gorgeous library, but yeah, I wish it was a little bit more organized. I got way too many books. Hopefully when I get into a new house, I can have a little bit more library space. Hey, Steve, what's your opinion on the effectiveness of bent over rows as a trap developer? Not so much a trap developer. If you want to look at trap development, things like an overhead press are going to do more directly for your traps. I mean, indirect, yeah, but not as a primary, not as anything that's substantial. Big Robert Wilds. I ran several marathons between 2003, 2008. Curious as to what your ultra running did to your strength. Nothing. It didn't do anything, honestly. My training was pretty weak at the time, but I've returned to benching after like 4 years of ultra running. My bench is as strong as it ever was. I'm somewhere around 400 on bench, and that's where I was 5 years ago. Give or take 10 pounds. So it's really done nothing at all. I'm not trying to exaggerate things, but it's done nothing. Strength is a hard thing to lose, over time. It's hard to lose as long as you continue to train. Big Rob M. I use Swiss bar bench only. Is this okay? 100%. No problems with it, man. No problems. We want to look at the bigger picture for muscle and strength building. We want to have a good battery of exercises, a good grouping of exercises. And with that in the mix, have some other good exercise in the mix, you're 100% fine. Big Bill Leach, happy Friday. Listening while I work from home. Thanks for listening, Bill. And Woodulus from Scotland, damn the time difference. I thought about changing the time, Woodulus, but like 11 is like 5:30 in Scotland. So I don't know. I was trying to make it accessible to as many people as I could. All right. Brandon, can trap bar, hex bar be a substitute for barbell? In all cases. Well, deadlift, yes. There's no harm in using a hex bar instead of a barbell. I've done hex bar rows and hex bar penalty rows. Shrugs, fine. I've even done hex bar upright rows. Those were kind of fun. So, yeah, there's no downside, really. You mentioned, LV King, you mentioned that you're evolved your beliefs and no longer give rep goal systems to your client. Well, what I mean is, like, the rep goal system is maximizing every set. Taking not to failure, but taking sets for as many reps as possible. Only 4 p.m. in London. Thank you. You sure? It's noon here. It's only 4 in London. I thought there was at least a 5.5 hour difference. I'm not doubting you. I just feel like I'm time warped right now. We just went through daylight savings, though. So the rep goal is like, we're not pushing to failure. We're pushing sets for as many quality reps as possible. Stopping the set when you feel like you might fail on the next rep or when form starts to break down. So when you are, man, it's only 4:09 in London. What kind of time change voodoo you guys got going on? I thought it was usually 5.5 or 6. We just went through daylight savings. So again, when I'm starting to work with someone, it's not that the rep goal system is inefficient, but when I'm working with someone, I'm only going to give them 1 set per exercise to work hard initially, just to test it, because not everybody is used to, training that way. So if they are, there's some guys that like, man, I want to gun every set, go right ahead. There's no downside. It's really on the individual. But when you coach, you can't lay that on someone because you're going to get them injured or they're not going to like their coaching. So you have to do a lot of feeler work. Nico, happy Friday. I have hip pain during seated leg curls. That's an unusual one. Doesn't happen consistently. Sometimes happens, sometimes it doesn't. So I would say that hip pain, in my best guess, is maybe not caused by seated leg curls because the hips aren't really into play. You're not doing lying leg curls, you're doing seated. So there's going to be some hip stress as you brace, but it's going to be minor. So my guess is maybe something else is causing that aggravation. Big Bob Fish. How will training in the 20-plus rep range using just machines for a few sessions impact my main move? It won't. You want to do what you can to hold the ship together. And it's not going to impact anything. I mean, if you're away from a big movement for more than 10, 20 days, you're going to have to take a deload anyway. So by doing a little bit of work, you're going to hold on to your muscle mass. Deep voice one. Do you find rear delt flies on a pec deck machine better? Isolate the rear delts in comparison to dumbbell rear delt flies or face pulls. I don't like face pulls. But there's no good, but it's all up to the individual. If you're serious about rear delt work, I do a couple different exercises. There's nothing wrong with doing a rear delt, rear delts on pec deck. There's nothing wrong with doing rear delt flies or dumbbell swings. Do whatever you want. The best is going to be what you find to be valuable, especially on isolation work. Joe Lee, a little bit. I'm approaching 50. He's approaching 50 and more concerned about spinal health. I have room for one more piece of larger equipment in my garage gym. Based off that, would a belt squat or a glute ham developer be a better investment? A leverage squat. Leverage squat, leverage squat, leverage squat. I would 100%, if you want quality leg work, issue a leverage squat. Now, I have no affiliation with Titan Fitness at all, but I have their leverage squat. And I love it. It allows me to go deep. I'm trying to. It says you've been blocked. Your speed is faster than a human. Titan blocked me because, oh my God, you guys got to see this one. I got to present, screen share. I've been blocked by Titan Fitness. You have been blocked. You're much faster than expected of a human. Okay, thank you. I guess I got superhuman powers, but honestly, the leverage squat, sorry, pull up your question. I would do that 100%. I simply would. The belt squat's a good exercise. What does a belt squat run? It's been a while since I looked at one of them. Depends on which one you get. Which one you get. I can't go to Titan because they got me blocked. Idiots. How's that working out for you, Titan? But price aside, man, I would consider the leverage squat. Big Sam Waddington, happy Friday. Thanks, Sam. I have terrible Bicepticon genetics with short insertions. Even though my arms are 16.8 inches flexed, my arms, biceps look small from the front compared to my chest, shoulders. Not much you can do about it, man. Not much you can do. We can't change the shape. All we can do is change the size. Regarding the bench, do you break the bar apart at the way down? No, I just try to control it. My name, Ben the Barman, actually comes from bending the bar on a bench press, but you want to try to think about rowing the bar down and controlling the bar down. So if you do that, you're going to be fine. If your arms are flared, usually it's from somebody trying to pull the bar down to a specific area rather than lowering it naturally. I don't really see a lot of flared arm benching, to be honest with you. Big Clue, what's going on? When I'm sub 10% body fat, other than lower test levels, my energy is perfectly fine. I can believe it. So is it okay if my bulking and cutting is between 8 to 10? Yeah, you can be whatever you want as long as you feel fine. Will I gain less muscle? No. The body is not this fragile, and anybody out there propagating the belief that like you have to be at a magic body fat percentage to optimize muscle growth is an idiot, and you can quote me. I'm not going to apologize. It's nonsense. It's short-sighted, and we have too much of that in this industry. Magic body fat percentage for all people at all times you have to be at, to maximize muscle building. This is such a stupid idea. It's ridiculous. Common sense and just looking at the real world, it's just an idiotic idea. Whatever's sustainable for you. Somebody always comes back, but no buts. People that believe there's magical fairy tale numbers that you have to be at to bulk and cut. The guys that are pushing this stuff are idiots, and they're short-sighted, and I don't know why they're pushing nonsense, but they're idiots, and you can quote me, and they'll probably come after me and say they had a study once, or give me 82 reasons physiologically that they believe it to be true, and they're still idiots. Vince, getting myself in trouble here. Been doing a bro split for a while, and on chesticle day, I do bicepticons with underhand pull-ups, and on back day, I do tricepticons with dips. Is that okay? 100%. It's all about the bigger picture of your program. Matthew, can I use your 3-day bulldozer routine on a cut? Yeah, but just it's more of a rest pause. So just be careful, listen to your body, and make sure you use weights that are good for you on a cut. How's my battery doing? Oh, we're only at 71%, so we're doing okay. Timothy, thoughts on standing leg curls? I've done them. Reckless, thank you. I've done standing, seating, lying. I like seated the best. Standing, I've done. Usually, standing, obviously, you have to do one leg, unless you can find a way to do standing 2 legs at the same time. That would be a good video. But yeah, they're all right if they give you a good feel. It's all about feel. There's such a wide variety of leg press devices that, oh my goodness, I'm just looking at Instagram. Somebody's spamming and they're going to get put in a timeout. All right. It's all about servicing, the lift, like which one feels the best for you. Big Sam, do you think that there are pros to having a quad day and a hammy day to make legs more manageable? Yeah, absolutely. That's what I do right now. I like to do deadlifts, and then I like to break down the weight a little bit and do RDLs. And then I take it further and then do Dimmel deadlifts, and then my other hamstring work. So I like to do deads, RDLs, Dimmels, other hamstring work. I like to focus my hamstrings because I never find I'm putting enough work on my hamstrings. So I think it's a good option if you have the time. Deep voice one. Top 3 worst movements with a barbell, dumbbell, or machine that you never want to see performed by anyone ever again. Wow, I don't know if there's movements I never want to see performed again. There's been some crazy. I don't know, man. Outside of the fringe stuff like squatting on a ball, I don't know that there are. I can't think of anything offhand, and I'm not trying to be dismissive, but I really can't think of anything. David, where did you get the idea for the upper posterior? Just from being in the trenches. Upper lower suck. Somebody's going to get triggered, but they do suck. We're going to do 2 leg days a week, which sucks to begin with. And then we're going to do everything else on 2 days a week. Back, chest, shoulders, arms. We're going to cram that thing full. On paper, upper lower sounds great. But in application, when you're programming, it's really it just doesn't work well. Like, I would call it, so some of you guys do it, and that's fine. Do whatever you want to do as long as you're working hard. But is it the best way to program? No, it's not the best way to program an A-B split. It's just not. If you want to work legs twice a week and cram everything else and whatever, that's fine. LV, is constant fatigue normal during cuts? Not always normal. It depends on the individual. I get my full night of sleep and I wake up tired. That's not necessarily normal. No. You know, I mean, being tired during a cut, a little bit sluggish, yeah, but like sleepy tired or just fatigue. We got a couple questions on Instagram. Brendan, do you think body part splits are better? No, nothing's better because it can give you more focus. It depends on the individual, but no split is better. We're going to look at weekly volume, upper posterior, push pull legs, whatever you're doing. Weekly volume, and when weekly volumes equated, do whatever you want. James said your torso limbs is great for those watching. Torso limbs is torso and limbs. So limbs is legs and arms. So you take some of the pressure off the upper body. And torso is chest, shoulders, and back. So that works out a little bit better. Terrence, how are you feeling about inverted row drop sets? If you can do an inverted row drop set, yeah. I mean, it depends on how you structure it and how convenient you are doing it. But if you can do an inverted row drop set, absolutely do it. K-Dog. For those of you guys watching on Instagram, this is over on Massive Iron YouTube. You can check out the link in my profile if you want to drop a question. So K-Dog, supplement stacks, creatine, very nice. Leucine, omegas, yep. I'm 48 years old and we're really a lot of solid stack. You want to make sure you have D3 just as a backup plan. B12 is a common deficiency. So those are two I would toss in the mix just as a fail-safe. Creatine's rock solid. It's good not just for energy, but also for brain function, etc. So creatine, B12, D3, and then if you want to branch out into like your fish oils or omegas, beyond that, you start to get into things like ashwagandha, other minor things that have minor benefits. Ashwagandha can help with anxiety to a little degree. So you kind of want to look on examine.com, supplement by supplement, and go from there. James Fuller, eating 8 eggs for massive energy. That's it. Eat all the eggs. Great nutrition. Mitch, Labid get some trim. He's responding to a spam bot. We had a spam bot on YouTube. Some guy spammed about 800 times, and I just put him in a timeout. When I deadlift, I feel my hands and fingers, not my forearms. Are they still going to grow? Man, you got to get everything strong. Don't worry about your forearms growing from deadlifts. You should be using straps or VersaGrip Pros. If not, you're going to pick up some elbow tendonitis. Everything's going to grow if you get stronger. I guarantee you that. Frankie, for hypertrophy, do you recommend keeping volume on the lower side and going for PRs? No. We want to chase hard training. And in that hard training world, progression naturally flows from it. Okay. So the lower volume, no. Reasonable volume, what I teach, yes. K-Dog. Oh, we did that already. Aberrant, what's your thoughts on cleans and jerks? No, not from a hypertrophy. I'll never put Olympic lifts, maybe minor variations like high pulls, but they're not great for hypertrophy. They're not great for meat and potatoes hypertrophy. They're technical lifts. And I'll never program Olympic lifts into hypertrophy and strength programs. From the Instagram, cable press or cable flies. I don't really like cable flies. Cable press, maybe it's part of a superset with maybe push-ups. I don't think either is a great exercise, but as a finisher, maybe rest, pause, volume, you'd be all right. So, where are we at? If you're already lean, you won't build muscle on a mini cut. So can I drop volume to 5 sets per week per muscle as a resensitization phase, as it's hard to train hard while cutting. That's a little bit on the low end. What you basically want, I think you're overthinking things a little bit. You could, but when you are on a cut, you don't want to change too many of the variables and encourage muscle loss. I don't recommend over pushing for PRs. What I mean is, on a cut, if you're in the trenches and you're doing a dumbbell curl, for example, and you're on rep 8 and rep 9, you're like, I can get rep 9. Take it. Take the easy reps. Take the easy progress. But during a cut, you probably want to chill on like intensity techniques, superset, rest pause, over pushing for PRs. You could drop volume a little bit, but I wouldn't go too crazy dropping it super low. Because if you're dropping your main lifts to 5 sets, where your isolation's going. Fat Chick in a Barn, good morning. Please follow her on the YouTubes. Client of mine, Jason Smith. Do you think 4 pounds a month weight loss is too slow? Do I think? Yes. Absolutely. I think that's way too slow. Especially if you, like, even for a mini cut, you're looking at like a 2.5 month mini cut to lose 10 pounds. You should be able to knock that out in close to a month. It's way slow. Way slow. Timothy, more big hairy ugly dude. Thanks you for the awesome content. Thank you for tuning in. Big Barbell 4-4. Going to be cutting for the next 4 weeks for Ramadan. Trying to lose 1 kilo of fat per week. Good goal. Safe, absolutely. There's no unsafe, right, in cutting. You're not going to lose muscle. It's not going to be gone forever. It's a nonsense concept. So you're absolutely safe. Even if you would lose an ounce or 2 of muscle memory is a real thing, and it's going to come back immediately when you return to normal. Josh said, Alexa, my name is Siri.
You're Steve, right?
Yes.
Okay, I already recognize your voice.
Thank you, Alexa. She didn't even say you're welcome. All right. From the Instagram. For hypertrophy, is it okay to add a set when you can't add more weight? It depends on the context, really. I mean, adding a set is only going to do something for your body in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then your body will acclimate to adding the set, and then you're done. The well is empty again. So, in the long run, it doesn't have much value. You kind of got to rethink what you're doing. Raphael, can we run a different style of program for different lifts at the same time? You can do whatever you want. Excuse me, as long as it works for you. For example, 5-3-1. Oh, no, not that ugly 5-3-1 for bench press and 3x10. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. You can absolutely, as long as it makes sense in the bigger context of your program. We got a good comment coming up. I can't wait for this one. Not this one, Zolt, but I'll let you know when the good comments coming up. How much protein should eat a 350-pound lifter who tries to lose weight? Well, I put together a list of guidelines on Instagram the last week. Basically, you want to get your protein probably around 36 to 40% of your daily calorie intake. Forget like grams and stuff like that. You want to get about 36 to 40% of your calorie intake from lean protein sources. So just use that as a goal. K-Dog, we did that already. Joy, I haven't deadlifted for 2 weeks, but the last time I did it was 235 by 15. I'm doing your threes protocol. Is 245 a good weight? Oh, we got 2 things going on here. We got, we had a really high rep session but we're moving up in weight. So weight, even if we're able to do reps at 235, weight is going to treat the body differently. Well, you pull 235 for one, and then you pull 245 for one. That's still a new demand on your tendons and joints and connective tissue. But then when you get into cumulative reps, we add another dimension. So I would probably be a little bit more conservative, Joy, and do 240 since it's been 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks out. Whenever you're past 10 days, you're making me a little bit nervous. So I don't really want to see a weight addition. I would just be conservative with 235 or 240. Be conservative. Live to fight another day. No harm in that. Red Devil, thanks for the good advice. All right, ready for it? Here comes the question. Here comes the comment I've been waiting for. Ready? Cringe. One day you gonna realize fast cuts is not applicable for everyone. One day I'll realize. One day I'll realize. I don't ever recall saying they were applicable for everyone. But I will say you want to go as hard as you can. That's sustainable. You do. So one day I'm never going to unrealize that. I'll guarantee that, because in coaching for a living, the biggest issue is diet fatigue and slow cuts. So we want to go as aggressive as we can that is sustainable. And I never do one size fits all rules. So, Cringe, I'm a little bit worried about your mental health today. Seek help. LV King, I've been filming my squats from the side. And for some reason, I just can't keep the bar path straight. When you're looking at your squat from the side and your bar path is going down and then kind of pushing forward, what's usually happening is if you look from behind and you look at like the angle of your feet and the angle of your knees, usually what's going to happen is high percentage of the time, your knees are inside as you descend. So that's going to push you forward a little bit. Sometimes there's a very minor forward sway on a squat when all things are aligned quality, just because of limb lengths and leverages and the way your body is set. So sometimes a minor forward lean can be okay. Sometimes you have guys trying to go super deep, like ATG, ass to grass, to the point where it'll throw them forward at the bottom. So the only tip I can give you is get a video from behind and let me take a look at it. Typo negative. Pretty sure he understands that concept. Guy who asked about the mini cut is a bodybuilding guy who was probably stage ready after that cut. And Fat Chick in a Barn says, typo negative. Just want to let you know I love your username. Yeah, for a while I was reading it as Tipion. Oh, yeah. Sometimes old people get on the fail boat and they can't find their ticket to get off. I think that shorter, thinner bone people might only be able to gain. If you're short, height doesn't, height's like how short are we talking? A couple inches different. Thinner bone people. I'm a thin bone person. So, my wrists were like 6.2, 6.3 right out of high school. I'm small boned. That's one reason I tend to look bigger in pictures. So I'll just come back with that. We have to be really careful about generalizations. Also, shorter people tend to make better bodybuilders. They look better. Like a lot of the bodybuilders you see on stage tend to be shorter, more compact. Their physique looks a little bit more aesthetic. So we got a couple things going on here. Easy to get the wires crossed. Red Polar Bear, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Austin, 1812. Just finished my workout and listening. Thank you for listening in. Paladin, how do you approach eating when on vacation and not training? Have fun. Like the worst thing you can do in life is go on vacation and not partake. That's not the time you want to moderate. Have fun. Go on vacation, have fun. Have fun, have fun, have fun. That's what you want to do. Do you want to abuse? Hey, I've had a male client that gained 21 pounds on a 7 to 8 day vacation, and a female client that gained 19 on a week vacation. There's a difference between having fun and abusing, right? So if you're just going on vacation to abuse your body with alcohol and food for 7 straight days, man, you can do that at home, right? That's not a vacation. That's some kind of sick self-abuse. So have fun. If you want to keep your weight reasonably in check, just limit portions, but sample things. Have fun. Have the drinks. My friend recomped 30 pounds of muscle. Yeah. The last 30 pounds, yeah, I'm sure he did. Thank you. Happy Friday, massive people. What's up, Steve? Thanks for joining in. What are your thoughts on machine rows versus T-bars versus Meadows? They're just a variety of different types of exercise types. A machine row would be a secondary, and when I say secondary, that doesn't mean not of value. But a T-bar row is a first class, right? It's a frontline soldier. Meadows row is as well, especially if you're at home and you don't have access to dumbbells. A Meadows row is a great choice. So those are both frontline soldiers. Machine row is kind of a backup, It's like in a chess match, but opposite. Your powerful ones are at the back. That's your T-bar and your machine and your Meadows rows. The machine rows are secondary. They're like your pawns. They can have value when used in the appropriate position. Do we need more potassium than sodium? Yes. I believe the potassium and sodium was, where is it? Sodium, potassium, sure. Ratio, I don't want to get anybody injured. The ideal ratio of sodium to potassium is 1 to 3. Potassium intake would be ideally around 3 times our sodium. Nicholas, do you find when you are hungry, you get very hangry? Well, some of that can be hormone driven. Like if we're always pushing the insulin button, plowing carbs. And some of it can just be cumulative hunger. I don't get hangry often, sometimes once a week. From Instagram, Vein Coaching, commercial gyms have too many options. They have a lot of good quality options. The problem is when we want to do everything, right? Nicholas, can you eat less than your maintenance and get fatter? No, you can't. Because maintenance is maintained. So if you're less than maintenance, you're going to lose. You might temporarily hold for a while, but then you're going to lose. Or is it just skinny fat people because you don't work out? I don't know what you're asking there in the second question, but no, you can't gain fat in a deficit. Thomas, what can happen though is you can lose muscle and you can hold your weight, maybe gain a little bit of fat. I've unintentionally noticed that I progress better on dumbbell sets with a progression indicator of +4s instead of +2s. Is there anything wrong? No. There's nothing wrong with it. Just understand that any rule we set, we have to keep pliable in case things change. Nicholas, my recent cold flu has set me back mentally and physically. I understand. Do you prioritize recovery when sick? I don't usually train when sick, no. Usually when I'm sick, I eat and sleep like a big baby. But I don't, you have to be really careful about training when you're sick because you don't want to make your immune system worse and open the door to something worse. Does that make sense? All right, where are we? It's already been a year since Louis Simmons passed away. The clock never stops. Grateful for you and all the wisdom. Thank you. I appreciate that. Time goes by quickly, and each day as you get older, you see people pass on that had so much to gain or so much to give. So I think we all need to always value the people that are trying to add constructively to the industry rather than all the snake oil and silliness. Nicholas, even though I didn't agree with everything that Louis said, he wouldn't agree with everything I said, but different strokes for different strokes, folks. My boat's not his boat, and his boat's not my boat. Not everybody has to be on my boat. Not everybody has to be on his boat. And that's okay. Nicholas, in the housing market skyrocket where you are, in Canada, houses have doubled in 10 years. Yeah, houses have gone ridiculous. I'm looking at moving house. And there was a house I looked at that was almost double in price from where it was 10 years ago. Mitch, I injured my low back deadlifting, and whenever I did lying leg curls, I get severe hip pain. Yeah, something going on there. Xavier, Titan owe me money. Titan Fitness. I ordered something from that site 4 months ago. Sorry to hear that. Use the Massive Fitness. Use themassivefitness.com. Use the Massive Fitness. Come on, go order something. Support me. At least check out the products at the Massive Fitness. I had a question on Instagram from Vane. How do you feel about David Goggins' example? His mental strength and mental drive, I love. I don't know how he trains, so I don't comment on that. But mental strength is the driver of everything important in life. Whether it's lifting or relationships, you got to be in the mental game. You got to be on top of your mental game. Dylan, I only do workouts 3 days a week because of work. That's fine. I do full body workouts and do 3 8x10s for almost everything I do. That's fine. I'm out of the gym in 45 minutes, but most people forget the time stuff, man. Focus on hard work. Always focus on hard work and progression, not time. Hard work is what you serve. That is what you chase, not time. Aaron, do you think it's fine to remove conventional deads? Yep. RDLs are not the same as deadlifts, so RDLs are a different movement. They don't work the body the same. You can certainly move deadlifts out, and you can certainly use RDLs in that slot, but know that they're not the same type of lift. They're both a hinge, but that's where they diverge. Steel Rat, with upper posterior, I happen to have hard back exercises 2 days in a row. You should not have back exercises 2 days in a row. Does it sound okay? No. I don't know what you mean having back exercises 2 days in a row. Because nothing I do has back exercises 2 days in a row. So I'm very confused. Maybe you can clarify for me. What's your opinion on clean jerks? Nope, we already covered this. Which of your 3-day-a-week programs would you recommend to do after running your hard gainer? The upper posterior is a good place to start. You have 4 workouts: upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B, and you just cycle between those 4 workouts 3 days a week. I think that would be a next good step forward. Pressure stick. Possible to build a routine with a set of power blocks. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have power blocks and you're going to have some body weight stuff, and you're going to have a more restrictive exercise selection, but you can still do a lot with it. Dean, incline close grip bench versus flat. Would you say incline has better advantages? No. Neither are going to be better. It's going to be a case by case basis. What feels better for you? Neither one's going to be inherently better. Titan blocked you because you're a competitor. No, that could be. Can we use flip flops while lifting? I don't know, man. That makes me a little bit heebie-jeebie, like you're going to get sweaty feet and slide all over. I guess. Just don't do anything that's going to get you injured. Thanks for tuning in, stuff. Would you say bro splits are the least optimal? No, no, not at all. No, I'm not laughing at Sonic. I'm just the overthinking world. Chest having to wait. No. Advanced lifters, if anything, because you're strong, that extra recovery is going to be of benefit. So not laughing at you, but optimal is going to be what works for you, Sonic. So with advanced lifters, when you're using a lot of heavy weight, having longer between workouts is usually usually an option you should consider. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. I've heard minus 1% of body weight increase per month on a bulk is about the max rate of body weight. Oh, increase. Sorry. I thought we were getting into decrease. I read that as decrease. 1% of body weight increase per month on a bulk is about. This is so arbitrary, man. It's such a silly rule. Arbitrary crap is what this is. If you're 150 pounds and you do a 1%, that's 1.5 pounds of gain per month. Over 6 months, you're not even at 10 pounds. Arbitrary crap. And then you have guys that are 230 that are trying to do a 10-pound bulk, and they get it. That would be reasonable. That would be a reasonable bulk, but the 1% is just arbitrary crap. It's an arbitrary crap number, so no. It's like basing your protein intake off your body weight. Another arbitrary crap idea. There's too many variables. Your calorie intake, your metabolism, balancing your protein intake, all kinds of things. Stuff. I started benching more frequently. Oh, man, 3 times a week. I'm getting a little nervous over overuse injuries. But my chest is hurting in a bad way. Dude, overuse. Don't do that. In the short run, that could be an overreaching program, but you risk overuse injuries. You risk train wrecking things. I would not do it. I'd like to look at your program, but with how your chest is feeling right now, I'd back off to 1 day per week. I would deload a little bit, give it 2 to 3 weeks to recover, and then do no more than 2 days per week. Kevin, do you have any advice for pushing through a weight loss plateau? I've cut from 185 to 170. Well, the first thing is, are your calories consistent? I don't know, but this is what I'm going to look for. Because a lot of times guys will go 2,000, 23, 2,000, 2,000, 22. My calories are consistent. They're not consistent. So the first thing you need to look at are my calories consistent? You need to have a come to Jesus talk with yourself. Are they consistent? If they are consistent, then you need to lower them. Or you need to add a little bit of cardio, hour cardio a week, or lower calories 150. Would you list? Our clocks go forward on Sunday, so it's all good. Nasser, how do I get my dad to let me use protein powder? I don't know, man. I don't know your situation. I don't want to get involved with you and dad. So maybe leverage mom. That's all I can say. Maybe have mom message a big, hairy, ugly dude, and I'll put in a good word for you with mom. I don't need to be causing any family strife, though. Nicholas, do you ever get overwhelmed when working out and just not sure what exercises? No. I use the same damn exercise for 38 years. If I want to use in like machine rows instead of something else, I'll work them in occasionally or alternate. But there's only so many quality exercises. So I usually do the same thing. Derek, it's 36 sets per back. Whoa, dude, that's a lot of junk volume right there, my friend. That is junk volume. That's way into junk volume. If you can do that much volume per week, at least 50% of that is junk, useless junk. Not being hard on you, Derek, just telling you because I care. From Instagram, nothing compares to trying out methods for oneself and extracting what seems to be better at the time, then randomly switching things up based on what he said, she said. Right. You kind of got to look at what is reasonable and try things out. And if it's not working, don't be afraid to ditch it. Because what works for somebody doesn't have to work for us. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for us. How many sets should I do every week for each muscle? I got a video where I talk about weekly volume. Basically, a starting point. This is not a rule. This is a starting point for major muscle groups. And don't get caught up on language. We don't want this to be semantics debate. Chest, shoulders, back, quads. About 12 sets a week. Biceps, hammies, triceps, 6 to 9. Abs, traps, calves, 3 to 6. Daniel, I'm 6'4", 255. I do full body with barbells, machines, and body weight. However, I'm very stiff when doing body weight exercises. Do you have any suggestions? I would have to know, like, what body weight exercise you feel stiff on. So are you doing warm-ups? Is it like the first set? I need to know more information. So from the Instagram, I suffer with a very weak, underdeveloped left tricep. Can't even train them with the lowest weight, and they don't grow. I would need to know more information. That sounds like an extreme medical condition. If you can't even train with the lowest weight, medically something's wrong. Medically something's wrong. That's not a normal condition. Jake, these Q&As are so full of valuable information. I appreciate you saying that, and I'm glad they have value. And I'm going to keep churning them out every week until the last breath of air is sucked from my big fat body. So thank you. Saeed on Instagram is saying he can't do triceps because even the lightest weight feels heavy. Saeed, I don't care what you feel. I mean, I don't mean that disrespectfully. It doesn't. Every exercise is gonna, like, I can do cable tricep extensions and I can feel my abs working. That's okay. It's okay to feel your rear delts working on other exercises. That's the nature of lifting. That's a different issue than not being able to lift a small amount of weight, even a small amount of weight. Nicholas, have you ever renovated a house? And I've not gutted a house. I basically did my mom's house, but we didn't take out walls. I put in a drywall ceiling. She had an old house, and literally I took out like 3 levels of ceilings. I probably breathed in asbestos. But I've done not major renovation, but extensive minor renovation. I've also added 3 additions onto my last house. Not me personally, but been involved in the process. Vaccine, boxcar. You spoke about self-abuse earlier, food and booze. Mostly food. I was a binge eater. I didn't ever abuse alcohol. When you made your transformation and got in great shape, what was the primary driving factor? I nearly died from type 2. I was headed into the best. I was headed into the powerlifting meet of my life, and I was going to hit at least a 1,900-pound raw total based on what was happening in the gym. And a week before, I started to develop Charlie horses from head to toe. Every muscle, literally every muscle in my body. I couldn't move like this without getting cramps. And basically, long story short, my liver was unable to process minerals effectively, and I was getting Charlie horses, just cramps. So it scared the crap out of me. I bombed at my meet horribly. And one of my friends said, "You do know the heart is a muscle, and if every muscle in your body is having Charlie horses, your heart could do that as well." So, Harut, what's up, everyone? Is it spring yet? It's officially spring, but we had spring weather yesterday, but now it's unbearable today. Nicholas, you've been hearing about this new push on peptides. I don't care about peptides, Nicholas. I don't give a rat's. I'm not being disrespectful. I don't give a rat's ass about peptides. Everybody's always going to push crap in this industry. The magic health benefits. I will always be skeptical. Where's all the testosterone gains, right? But we need science over time, not just opinions. And I don't care about peptides. I don't care about that world. I'm not being disrespectful to anybody that can. Here's what I focus on, Nicholas. Health benefits, sleep, taking care of myself with food, taking care of myself with exercise. That's what I focus on. So I'm not being disrespectful to anybody that wants to take them, but I could give two shits about peptides. There's so much you can do just in our control to take care of ourselves. So I don't give a flying fuck about peptides. And I'm not being aggressive with you, Nicholas. I'm just saying in general, just giving you my honest opinion, I don't care. And I'm not spending a cent on that stuff. If I'm going to spend money on anything, I'm going to take care of myself 90% of the time and then drink a few beers, right? Or buy a good cigar. Cornell James. Why are the classic forearm workouts, wrist curls, reverse wrist curls, so much less efficient than sporadic manual labor? Well, I think most people that do forearm work, I will say, Cornell, they don't have forearm days, right? They're not excited about forearm work. It's like calf work. My calves aren't growing. Well, when's the last time you went to a gym and saw like somebody training calves with like the eye of the tiger, right? When's the last time you saw that happen? So it's just the same with forearms. You know, forearms are like my forearms are huge, and I never had to train them directly, other than the odd occasional set. You train normally, and you're going to see amazing gains. And I don't really think it's going to be that you need to put a lot of work into direct forearm work. Must not. Don't know if you had this question before. What do you think about the upright row? It's silly. It's like the same thing like leg extensions are going to kill you. Dumbbell rows are going to give you hernias. I've never seen any of this in all my time in the gym and lifting and a lot of other major coaches. It's just something someone said once, and you're at much higher risk for everything. It's just overblown nonsense talk. Vane, if you could do it all over again from the age of 18, knowing what you know now, do you think, knowing what you know now, which one do you think would you have benefited more development from? I don't understand the question. Let me read it again. If you could do it all again from the age of 18, knowing what you know now, do you think what you know now about training and diet, which one do you think would have benefited you your development. I don't understand the question. Sorry, maybe rephrase it. Let's see. Must not. Don't know if you've had this question before. Oh, yeah. Sorry, we just did that one. Salvador, Steve, I've been running your push-pull leg split. I've been getting good gains. Do you think I should add in arm day? You could add in. You could turn it into a push-pull arms legs. A lot of my clients have done that with the push-pull. So you can do push, you can do pull, and you can kind of leave arm work out of that whole structure. And then that way you can kind of get your push and pull more focused. And then you can do an arm day and a leg day if you want. Must not. What can be done to prevent lightheadedness when doing that? That's just kind of a bracing thing. And if you're running into lightheadedness, I don't know. You have to brace properly for lifting. So just be safe. I don't know how your food intake is. I don't know how your sodium intake is, but if you're feeling lightheaded while bracing, I would consult a doctor because that's generally not normal other than on the rare occasional rep. Currently, where are we? Currently doing your 3x3, 4x6, 5x10 and processing well. How long should one stand there? Until you get tired of it, man. As long as you want. There's no urgent need to hop off any program. So stay on it as long as you want. Last call for questions, guys. We have a couple left in the mix. Gable Clark, nice name. Hey, Massive, I have a bigger, fuller left pec. Any suggestions? The only thing you can do is do what you do. Have a good mix of exercises. Know that you want to get everything stronger. A barbell lift, a dumbbell lift, a machine lift, maybe an isolation lift. That's all you can do. Focus on what you can control. Pringle cake. Is there any real difference in having 80 grams of protein in one meal? No. Because what happens is the body is very efficient at utilizing resources. So from the stomach, like it's not like the body compartmentalizes protein, like here's one block, right? And then here's the other block, and it moves on the train, and they're like separate blocks, right? The body is very efficient at utilizing your resources. So from the stomach, what we eat gets turned into what's called chyme. I believe it's CHYME in the intestines. And chyme, the digestion is sped up or slowed down based on the needs of the body, from my understanding. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is my understanding. I'm no biologist, but that's my understanding from research and my years as an editor. So protein, for example, will speed up or slow down the digestion of chyme based on the needs of the body. So nothing is going to go to waste. It's not like you have different poo blocks, right, floating through the intestines based on when you ate something. And they're like, they're like compartmentalized. Oh, there's 80 grams of protein in this glob of chyme and 40 grams of protein in this glob of chyme. And because we got 40 grams coming down the tube, it doesn't work like that. Your body is very efficient at utilizing. And from my understanding, it's well over top 90%. You're well into the upper 90% of what your body utilizes in your intestines, regardless of timing. This whole debate is just really silly. It doesn't understand human biology, and it always treats the body like some fragile little thing. Let me just check Instagram here. James, I think he's asking, when your current knowledge and experience, what would be more important to know at 18, diet knowledge or training? It's hard to say. I would reassure myself that the weight gain I went through was appropriate and helpful. And I was lucky enough to have my training and nutrition nailed. So I would reassure myself that both were on the right track. The only thing I would tell myself is once I got to around 190, 195, I'll probably do a 10-pound mini cut. And then from there, the only thing I would have done different, the only thing I'd go back in time, tell myself is once I got to like 200, I would probably start doing more focused bulks and cuts, if that makes sense. Is it okay to work out right the day of a heavy drinking next day? You got to be careful. Number one, you got to get hydrated. Number two, I would get my electrolytes in, potassium and sodium. I would get my carbs up to speed. You're going to pick up some inflammation because your body's going to store water fighting the poison. So if you're drinking heavily, I would overcompensate with water, with electrolytes, with sodium. It's an electrolyte, with carbs, and with rest. And then I would adjust as needed. Another one from Instagram. What's the recommended 3-day intermediate program to increase strength? There's no single program that for an intermediate. Everybody's different, so we kind of have to look at where they were at and what they've been doing and what is the next step, if that makes sense. All right, must not. These streams are extremely useful, learning quite a lot here. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Elite Squad. Hello from California. I just turned 40. Happy birthday. To someone with no experience in investing in a home weights or a gym membership, is home weights or a gym membership a better option? Well, it all comes down to cashola. If you're going to do a home gym, you need to understand there are some, if you're going to do it, you need to do it right. So without dumbbells, your life's going to be hell. You need to know that without a cable station, and I got mine for like 380, 400, 430, that adds a lot of options. Easy Bar adds some options. Legs are going to be hard to train, so if you're going to stay stapled to squats and you're passionate about legs, it's not going to be a fun time for you. So you might want to get a belt squat, a leverage squat, a sissy squat. So I would, if you're going to do the home gym and you're serious about it, I would consider $5,000. Seems like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But on the other hand, if you have limited equipment, you run the risk of boredom. From the Instagrams, MC Benjamin, are barbell squats and deadlifts necessary? No, absolutely not. Not necessarily at all. One of the screening questions when I am bringing a client on, or onboarding questions when I'm bringing a client on board, is I ask about certain lifts. Squats, deads, dips, pull-ups. They're not mandatory, so I ask if a client likes them or uses them. And those are lifts. If we use them, we great. If not, we just use other things. Aberrant. While trying to cut a lot of excess weight, are there some lifts to avoid to minimize appetite? Not really. I mean, if you got a lift that's really draining you, you might want to cut it out, but I've never found a lift like that during a cut. Cringe. Yeah, you want to spread protein feedings. Go ahead, ban me, grumpy old man. Okay, I will. You want to spread protein feedings. What does that mean? You're good. I mean, Cringe, you need to get off the crack bong, dude. No shit you have to spread out. No shit, Cringe, that it's beneficial to spread out protein feedings. That doesn't mean you can't eat more protein in one meal. I mean, if we look at like what's most beneficial for hypertrophy, probably eating 4 meals a day or every 3 to 4 hours. But if you think doing only intermittent fasting is going to somehow limit your gains, you might want to get that crack addiction checked out. Go ahead, ban me, grumpy old man. Thanks for the invitation. Kick rocks, you twerp. All right. I love people that get like turn discussions over lifting into like, you don't know, you ban me. Like, dude, I'm not a black or white guy, right? Anybody that knows me knows that. So you're like in a room with a paper bag over your head, shadow boxing with yourself in the mirror. You're an idiot. All right, just a general life question. Is it best to work throughout your 20s and save money? Or do you think that it's best to, well, I mean, going having fun for a year, seeing the world? I will say this, like after I got divorced, um, I don't know, 10 years ago now, I saw a lot of stuff without spending a lot of money, my friend. A lot of hiking, a lot of just exploring trails and stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do without spending money. And I think most of us never explore our area to that degree. So I don't think they're separate. I think you can do a lot without spending a lot of money. If I had to go back in time and tell myself how to structure my life, I'd be like, save every penny. Save every penny you can. And like, you want to come in after 40 with a fat bank account. Because if you come in after 40 with just dry chicken bones in your bank account, like no meat on those bones, it's not fun, man. It's not fun. When you're young and when you have energy, if you can save, right? That, like everybody thinks like you gotta go out and have fun and sow your oats and all that kind of old people talk when you're young, right? Well, I guess if that means, usually that means drinking yourself half to death in your early 20s. You can, man, you can have a lot of fun in your 30s and 40s and 50s, brothers and sisters. You can have a lot of fun. And it's just a different type of fun. So save, and work hard in your 20s. That way, if you have a family in your late 20s or 30s, or when you're older, it's going to be a lot more because that's when stress kicks in, really. Like the stress we have in our 20s seems like a lot, but it's nothing compared to the stress of later in life when you have to support things, when the body's going south, when sleep isn't there. So, Adam, thank you for replying to my question about an aggressive cut. You bet. Just got back from the gym. My pleasure. Loach Roach. Hey, Steve, broke my finger recently. Sorry to hear that. And planning on working out with just one arm. Imbalance, no. I mean, it's what we know scientifically is that this sounds odd, but it seems that when we train one side, the other side tends to grow as well. Don't go overboard, but don't worry about it. Everything will even out in the end. You won't have any major imbalance. Elliot, shout out to Team Massive and Big Hairy Ugly Dude. Anyone watching, you need to check out Team Massive. Thank you. TeamMassiveIron.com. At least go over there and check it out. Last question, last call, guys. If you have a question, get it in now. This is the last one. Would you recommend competing in a powerlifting meet at least once? Yes. If you're curious at all, sign up. Don't worry about weight. Don't worry about a fancy program. Just come into the meet, have somebody help you with lift selection and equipment and all that kind of good stuff, and give it a try. I think you will like it. All right, guys, that is it. That is it for Massive Iron Live. I appreciate you guys joining me. Don't go anywhere yet. A couple quick things before we go. Number one, thank you. I appreciate every question, each and every one of you. Doing this for a living is a dream. And I appreciate each and every one of you taking time to watch this. If you need coaching, please go over to superlivingtoday.com. superlivingtoday.com. Check out the coaching tab. If you have questions, just DM me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. If you want to join Team Massive, go over to teammassiveiron.com. Please check out my fitness equipment just for curiosity's sake. Check it out at themassivefitness.com. All right, guys. Thanks for joining in. And we are out of here. All right, this deluxe candle was actually holding up my phone for Instagram Live. Let's take a look. It smells like girl stuff, right? All right, see you guys.